You already know more than you think. Many people believe that learning a new language means starting from zero. But the truth is, you are never starting from nothing. You already know far more than you realize, and this gives you a huge advantage. For example, think about English. If you're reading this, you probably already understand thousands of words without even thinking about them. These are called cognates, words that look and sound similar in different languages because they share the same origin. For instance, English shares many words with French, Spanish, and even German. Words like information, music, computer, or international are almost the same in many languages. Beyond vocabulary, your brain has already developed language skills. You already know how to learn grammar, make sense of meaning, listen for patterns, and even guess the meaning of unfamiliar words from context. These are skills you developed when learning your first language, and you can apply them again when learning another. Realizing this reduces fear. You don't need to learn 100,000 new things. You only need to unlock what's already inside you and build on what you already know. This makes the whole process feel lighter, more natural, and much easier. You don't need to be perfect to communicate. Perfectionism is one of the biggest obstacles language learners face. Many people think they need to speak without any grammar mistakes, with perfect pronunciation and a wide vocabulary, before they can hold a conversation. But this is simply not true, not in real life. If your goal is communication, then even a few words and gestures are enough to start. When you travel to a new country, even saying hello, thank you, or how much in the local language brings a smile. You don't need long sentences or fancy vocabulary to be understood. People naturally want to understand each other, and they often help if you try. Think of children learning to speak. They make grammar mistakes all the time, mispronounce words, and use simple language, but they are still understood and encouraged. Adults can learn the same way, make mistakes, be understood, and get better step by step. When you stop worrying about being perfect, you start speaking more, and the more you speak, the more natural it becomes. Communication is not about showing how much you know. It's about connecting with others, and you can do that much earlier than you think. Language learning is a skill, not a talent. Some people believe they are just bad at languages, or that they're not smart enough to learn. But this idea is completely false. Learning a language is not a talent. It's a skill, just like cooking, driving, or playing a musical instrument. And skills can be learned by anyone with the right method and consistent practice. Sure, some people might learn faster at first, especially if they already speak a related language. But that doesn't mean others can't learn just as well with time. In fact, slow, steady progress often leads to stronger results because it builds deeper understanding and confidence. What really matters is your routine, your mindset, and your habits. If you practice even a little bit every day, try to use the language in real situations, and stay curious, you will improve. Your brain is designed to learn languages, especially through repeated exposure and meaningful use. You don't need special genes. You just need to show up regularly and trust the process. The moment you stop comparing yourself to others and treat language learning like building a muscle, it becomes much more achievable. You're not born with it, you build it. You can make progress without studying grammar. Many people associate language learning with grammar books, complex rules, and endless exercises. While grammar is useful, it is not necessary to master grammar rules in order to speak a language well. In fact, some of the most successful language learners in the world don't focus on grammar at all. They focus on input and practice. Think of how children learn. They don't learn through grammar explanations. They hear the language, absorb the patterns, and slowly begin to speak. Their grammar improves naturally through repeated use. Adults can do the same by surrounding themselves with the language, listening to native speakers, reading simple texts, watching videos, and talking out loud. Grammar then becomes something you feel, not something you memorize. Of course, a little grammar can help, especially when it answers your real questions, like why something is said a certain way. But you don't need to learn every rule before you speak. In fact, speaking and listening first can make grammar easier later. Because you already have examples in your head, language is a living thing, not a set of rules to memorize, but a tool to use. And you can start using it without waiting to master grammar. Technology makes language learning faster and easier. In the past, learning a language meant attending classes, buying thick textbooks, and waiting years to speak fluently. But today, the internet has changed everything. You have access to thousands of free or low-cost resources, apps, YouTube videos, language exchanges, podcasts, subtitles, and more. If you have a smartphone, you have a language school in your pocket. You can find native speakers to practice with from anywhere in the world. You can watch real conversations with subtitles, pause and replay tricky parts, and slow down audio. You can even speak to AI-based apps that give you instant feedback on pronunciation. The learning process has become more flexible, fun, and personal. More importantly, technology helps you learn in your own style. You can choose content based on your interests, whether that's cooking, travel, or business. When you enjoy what you're doing, learning becomes effortless. Instead of studying hard, you're simply living in the language. Thanks to technology, you don't need to wait until you have time or money to take a course. You can start now, 5 minutes a day, on your phone, and see real results. The tools are here. You just need to use them. You learn faster by focusing on input first. Many beginners believe they must start by speaking, but in reality, listening and reading, known as input, are the most important and easiest first steps. Input gives your brain the data it needs to build the language naturally, just like how children learn. When you read and listen to English that's a little above your current level, your brain starts to notice patterns, how sentences are formed, which words go together, what tone means what. Over time, this becomes your internal language sense. You begin to understand meaning without translating. You start to guess new words from context. Eventually, you find the words naturally when it's time to speak. This doesn't mean you shouldn't try to talk, but it means you don't have to force it too early. The more input you get, the easier speaking will become later. It will feel automatic. So don't worry if you can't say much at the beginning. Focus on enjoying lots of good input. Watch your favorite shows with subtitles. Read short articles or stories. Listen to simple podcasts and trust that your brain is learning, even when you're silent. Mistakes are not failures, they are progress. One of the biggest fears language learners face is the fear of making mistakes. You might feel embarrassed to speak because you don't want to say something wrong or sound silly. But the truth is, mistakes are not failures. They are necessary steps to improvement. Every mistake you make is proof that you are trying, learning, and growing. Let's think about how babies learn their first language. They say words incorrectly. They mix up grammar. They invent funny expressions. But do we stop them? No. We celebrate their efforts, correct them gently, and encourage them to keep going. That's exactly how you should treat yourself when learning a new language. When you make a mistake, your brain gets feedback. It notices the error, compares it with the correct form, and stores the new pattern. That process helps you remember better than just reading a grammar rule. In fact, the more mistakes you make and correct, the faster you improve. The key is to stop seeing mistakes as something shameful. Instead, treat them as stepping stones. The person who speaks and makes 100 mistakes will always improve faster than the one who stays silent out of fear. So, speak often, listen to corrections, and even laugh at your errors. They are your most powerful teachers. You don't need to travel to learn a language. Many people think that in order to truly learn a language, They must move to a country where that language is spoken. While immersion is powerful, it is not the only way and not always possible. The good news is you can create an immersion environment right where you are, even without traveling. Thanks to modern tools and the internet, you can bring English into your daily life in hundreds of small, effective ways. Change your phone and apps to English. Watch your favorite shows with English subtitles. Listen to English podcasts while commuting or cooking. Read simple news articles. Follow English-speaking creators on YouTube or Instagram. Even better, speak to yourself in English. Describe your day, talk about your plans, or name objects in your room. You can also join online language exchange communities and have real conversations with people around the world. All of this creates a natural learning environment, just like being abroad, but without the plane ticket. Remember, language is not a location, it's a practice wherever you are. If you surround yourself with the language and use it regularly, your brain will adapt. You don't need to wait until you go somewhere. You can start living with English now. You don't have to learn everything, just what you need. Another common mistake learners make is trying to learn everything at once. All the grammar rules, thousands of vocabulary words, every possible verb tense. This approach quickly becomes overwhelming and often leads people to quit. But the truth is, you don't need to know everything to speak and understand a language. You only need what's relevant to you. Think about your personal goals. Are you learning English for travel, for daily conversation, or for business? Your learning should match your purpose. For example, if you want to travel, focus on useful phrases for hotels, restaurants, directions, and polite expressions. If you want to talk with international friends, learn how to talk about your hobbies, your job, your daily life. You don't need legal vocabulary or scientific terms if they're not part of your world. This method is called just-in-time learning. You learn what you need when you need it. It keeps learning practical and it reduces stress. Over time, your vocabulary will naturally expand and you'll understand more. But in the beginning, focus on what helps you communicate right away. Less is more, and learning what matters to you is faster, more fun, and far easier than memorizing long word lists and grammar books. Learning a language can be fun if you let it be. Finally, and maybe most importantly, language learning doesn't have to be boring, stressful, or hard work. It can be exciting, creative, even relaxing if you let it be. The problem is, many people treat it like school, endless drills, tests, and pressure to be perfect. But the brain learns better when it's happy, relaxed, and interested. Ask yourself, what do you enjoy in your native language? Music, movies, cooking, games, stories. Now try doing those same things in English. Watch a romantic comedy in English. Follow a cooking channel on YouTube in English. Read a simple comic book or listen to songs you love and learn the lyrics. When you connect the language to something that brings you joy, you'll forget that you're studying at all. Fun also builds consistency. If you enjoy your learning method, you'll do it every day, and that's the secret to success. It's better to study 15 minutes with excitement every day than to force yourself for 2 hours once a week. Your mood matters. Your energy matters, and your personal interests can be your biggest learning tools. So, allow yourself to smile, to play, to explore. Make English part of the things you already love. That's not just easier, it's also the fastest way to fluency. Final words. Learning a new language is not an impossible task. It's not just for smart people, travelers, or the young. It's for anyone who wants it, including you. You already have what it takes: the brain, the curiosity, the ability to learn from mistakes, and access to tools that make it easier than ever before. So let go of fear. Let go of perfection. Start small. Have fun. Stay curious. And trust that every step, no matter how small, is real progress. You are not starting from zero. You are starting from experience, desire, and strength. Learning a language is not a mountain to climb. It's a road to walk, one step at a time. And the journey is more beautiful than you ever imagined.